So Blair, we're just going to start this off. This is our 13th Bare Bones and Upfront Selfie. We're here with Blair Packham. Thank you. Thank you so much for popping into the Toronto Centre for the Arts. I know your voice is just not there, so we're not even going to ask you to perform for us today, but we're just going to yap for a bit, if that's cool with you.
Great.
Okay, and you've got your water?
I do.
Okay, good stuff. I think really I'd love to hear a bit about why you've chosen Toronto, what brought you here to do your craft, to do your art in this city.
Well, I'm very, very lucky. I actually I didn't choose Toronto. Toronto chose me, in the sense that my parents moved here when I was with me and my sister. When I was, I think, 5 years old, we moved to Don Mills, and then a couple of years later moved downtown. And living downtown, I just found music was all around, and Toronto has this incredible musical legacy as well. None of which I knew anything about when I was a little kid, but as I grew up, Toronto just seemed like a fantastic place to live. I mean, as a musician, as a songwriter, this incredible legacy with the band, with the Yonge Street scene, the R&B scene, with I don't know, performers that I loved when I was a teenager, like David Wilcox and Rush and bands like that. And just so there just never seemed to be a musical reason to leave Toronto. And I love it here. It's a, I don't know, it's a pretty supportive community, and there's a lot of cross-pollination that goes along. There's room for old guys like me, which I think in some scenes in other cities there wouldn't be. I think, you know, you'd be past the, you know, what is deemed relevant age, and you'd be encouraged or maybe discouraged from continuing. And nobody really. People seem happy to hear my songs.
And do you see, have you seen a change from maybe when you started to present day in that kind of wanting to help or to keep, you know?
Yeah.
Well,
yes.
You know,
There's in the 1980s, when I actually had I had a band that was pretty active called the Jitters, and we had radio success, and we sold a bunch of records and toured Canada a whole bunch of times. We were coming up at the same time as Blue Rodeo. Got our record deals within a year of each other for sure. And we would play double bills with them and so forth. And at that time, there was a lot of competition between bands, as opposed to now. There was a competitive kind of spirit. And competition, I think, is good in sports. I'm not so sure it's great in music, frankly. I think collaboration is a better thing, and so how things have changed, I think, is with the record companies just aren't as important as they used to be. They don't have as big a presence, and I think with the diminishing importance of record companies, people have to rely on themselves and each other more. There's a tendency, I think, therefore, to reach out to your fellow musicians. And fellow musicians respond. I mean, it's the language of love, I think. And so I think it's a natural thing. And I think what we've seen is a move towards a greater community.
Okay. Does that mean that success here is more possible than, say, having to get yourself to the States or go to Europe, or is that still a secret to success?
Well, I don't know if it's a secret. I think depending on the kind of music you're doing, it definitely is advisable to go to those centers you mentioned. I mean, you can certainly have success here. And again, you know, I mentioned Blue Rodeo, or my band, the Jitters. We had success within Canada. We toured the UK. But really our success, such as it was in Canada. Blue Rodeo has had success in other places around the world, but they're largely a Canadian phenomenon. So you can have success here, and they're wildly successful. I mean, they're awesome. But if you want the kind of success that is topping the charts, you know, in pop music or in country music, yeah, it's probably a good idea to go to Nashville or go to Los Angeles or London or something.
Okay. With your songwriting in general, better for you doing it on your own or collaborating?
The only problem I have with collaboration is I feel I'm letting people down because I'm not always, I'm not terribly focused. Somebody the other day described me as driven, and I thought, well, I guess you don't know me that well. I mean, I am driven in some ways, and I long to write more songs. But if you and I were to write a song, it could be fantastic, and I would be thinking, yeah, that's really great. I should get to that song. I should finish that, and then 3 weeks would go by, and you'd email me and say, hey, how's that song coming along? Or can we demo that song, or whatever? And I'd say, oh yeah, that song I forgot, and then I'd feel guilty. The short answer is I'm probably better off writing for myself because at this point I'm not really chasing writing songs for other people. So the songs are ultimately for me too. On the other hand, I've had some great collaborations.
Okay. What inspires your music?
Relationships. I've been inspired by relationships, usually sadness, but not always, since I began writing songs. Although I write about world events. I started a song about Rob Ford and never finished it because I think it was pretty funny. I still play the part of it that I started for audiences, but I never finished it because it seemed to me things were getting pretty serious in that situation, and I just didn't feel like making light of it. I thought it was kind of mean, and I didn't really want to be mean. So all kinds of things inspire me, but it's usually relationships.
Okay. If you had any advice for new artists coming into the game, what singular piece just what singular piece would you give them to kind of push them along?
That they may have been the most special person in their high school or in their family or in their local after-school club or whatever, but once they get out in the real world of music, I'm not saying they're not special, but I'm saying that they have to work 10 times as hard. It has to be, and I say this to my younger self too, it has to be all about music. Music, 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 all the time. Eat, breathe, sleep, music. You have to be obsessed because the people that I hate to say this because I said it's not a competition, but the people that you're up against that's what they're doing. They're obsessed with music. And so you really have to do that, I think. Be that way yourself.
Okay. Blair, thank you so much.
Thank you, Leonard.
Alrighty.